evangelist. He has over 80 years of experience. He's an expert worker as well. Anand loves sharing knowledge. Anand has written lots of blogs. He has also talked in multiple conferences, be it national, be it international. So one of the interesting fact about him is like he is right now the core committee member for Selenium Con, which is like a huge thing. So today he is going to talk about some consumer quality. I think over to Anand.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's great to be back in Clubhouse for vodqa. It's like a homecoming again. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Smriti, for the kind words earlier. I don't know where you are, but thank you again for that, and to everyone from the team. Talking about Selenium Conf, the Selenium Conf Bangalore CFP is closing end of today. So if you are interested, not submitted, submit talks today. Enough about Selenium Conf. Let's get on to the topic for today. Measuring consumer quality, the missing feedback loop. I was actually thinking when Srinu and then Arpit, even Vikrant, they asked me for slides. I said, no, I'm not going to use slides. But then I realized that I've been a manager for far too long in my current organization. And without slides, I cannot do anything, unfortunately. So there are some slides. We'll go through them as well. But we'll keep it more interactive, less about slides, more about our conversations. Reach out to me on Twitter. You can reach out to me on my blog as well. And that's enough said about me. Okay? What do you expect from this session? That's my standard slide that I use every time, but it's very important.
Something groundbreaking.
Something groundbreaking. We are on 6th floor. Hopefully, there's nothing groundbreaking over there. Okay? No, this is nothing groundbreaking that we'll talk about. But what do you understand? What do you expect from when you see the title Measuring Consumer Quality? What does it really mean? Value to business, okay.
Quality of business.
Sorry? Quality of
Business.
Quality of business. Okay.
Nothing is missing from that.
Okay. Anyone else?
Matching up to the end user's perspective.
Matching up to the end user's perspective, okay.
Maybe getting a proper feedback from consumer about bad quality.
Getting feedback from consumer about bad quality. Okay. Okay. What else? See, there's a reason why I was not preparing slides, because this is a very new topic, right? And I'm going to feed from whatever you say. And if you don't say anything, I'm not going to say anything as well. So it goes very to it. Anything else? Feedback on delivery. Okay, we definitely will not be talking about that, and that's not what this topic also is about. But it's really about that feedback, right? Feedback, quality for business, from consumers. Is it just bad quality, good quality? What does that really mean, and why is that important? That is really the essence of what we are doing today, okay? So let's begin. Let's get started with this. I don't know how many of you have read my blog. I published it, I think, late last year or early this year, I don't remember. And again, it's thanks to Smriti that I remember about that. I added that one slide right now. But that is actually a precursor to what this topic is about. So if you have not read it, I encourage you to take a look at that one. Understanding, measuring, and building consumer quality, and why is that really important. That blog does not talk about the how, it talks about the why. Okay? What we'll be trying to cover today is some aspects of why. Okay? Let's do that. So the feedback loop. What really is a feedback loop? Someone mentioned some expectation, right? There was about feedback. What do we mean by that feedback? Okay.
Just checking whether if you deliver something or if you're providing something, whether what you've given or provided, it matches the front person's expectations. So they provide you some kind of a feedback, like positive or negative.
Okay.
And then maybe there would be some work done on it to either improvise it. Again, it would be sent again to check whether it now meets their expectations. And then that cycle just continues.
Excellent. So basically you would build something. You build some features or capabilities in your product. And based on that, you would get it out in front of your users. Okay? Users doesn't matter whether it is B2B or B2C. Does not matter. You get it out in front of your users and you measure You put certain metrics on top of it to help you measure that aspect, and based on that, you sort of create a baseline, right? At first, you take the best case estimate. This is what my baseline needs to be. My performance has to be sub 5 seconds. Okay? Why? I have no idea. I pulled it out of thin air. But as you start building and getting your product in front of your users, you actually start to baseline what your product is and where you expect to go. And that baseline actually leads into understanding of those metrics, analyzing of those metrics, which gives you learnings about your product. That learnings allows you to take decisions in terms of, am I on track? Do I need to do iterative improvements on what I have already done? Or do I just need to throw this thing out and rebuild something completely different? Because the direction of the feedback that I'm getting is not the direction which I was going anyway. So maybe what I built for my end users is not really what they wanted at all, or what they can use or consume, which means this data is telling me that information, and I need to now build hypotheses on top of it and get back to that cycle, as you correctly said, right? Get back to that cycle of build, but now you're moving from just features into experimentation as well. Because based on this data, you will start experimenting more and more. If my performance really was, my baseline was 5, I am at 10, what do I need to experiment with in terms of my technology, the way I'm building, to get to a better stage. What I use as an example of performance is a very transactional thing, right? It's a very key aspect of technology, but this is also very applicable from consumer feature perspective as well, right? If I enable a certain feature, Vishal spoke about PNR, right? How PNR is generated, how it is found. If I understand that, then I can think about as a business feature, what different can I really do about it to make a difference and speed things up, get better quality feedback, and keep iterating for it. And this, again, very correctly shared is what is a feedback cycle, right? Is a feedback loop. You build, measure, learn, and that cycle continues. Okay? Today, we will be focusing on the measure and learning aspect out of it. Building is core, SDLC, we are not going to talk about that. That to me is a solved problem. We already have cases where we have zero defects in production for 6 months. I would just say to that point that we just not have found the defects yet to break that claim. But it's great, right? But today we focus on the measure and the learning aspects out of it and how really we get to that part. Okay? So the main question when it comes to measure is how well do you really know your product? Okay? So I want some examples now. What type of product do you work on, if I may ask?
Yeah, so I work on mobile.
Mobile? What type of mobile product?
It's Android and iOS, and also it has a mobile web.
Okay. These are the platforms. What is the product about?
For the airlines product.
It's airlines product.
It's a reservation system. So
Sorry?
you shop and book.
Okay, shop and
all the
book.
things.
Okay. So airline ticket booking.
Airline.
Okay. So how well do you really know your product?
Sorry?
How well do you know your product?
Yeah, I think I know it well.
Okay. So what is the intent of the product?
Yeah, it's basically for the end user. So for that, end user can do the booking for themselves, and after the booking, there are a couple of the non-reservation part of it. Like they can like if their bag is missing, so they can file a ticket for the same.
Okay.
And they can change the seat. There are auxiliary items and also. Okay. So those are the part of the all.
So is that the intent of the product or is that the use cases of the product?
Yeah. So basically the intent is for for reservation, for sell their ticket for airlines,
Okay.
and as well as having the revenue of it.
Okay. So revenue is interesting, right? So what is the value you're generating? Is value just the revenue?
And it's also the customer experience.
Or the customer experience, okay? How do you know if you're on track to provide all these things or not?
Obviously, via feedback.
What type of feedback?
So we do showcase and there are several connect session to the customer also, and so we have the product owner. So we do showcase. So
feedback cycle is a short feedback cycle in that sense. From the team perspective, product owner is my end user representation. That's the feedback cycle, right? And
we're having
okay, great. Thanks for sharing. Sorry to put you on the spot, but I think it is it's very helpful to use a real world example to try and answer some of these, right? So the questions that we really need to ask, right? and he actually got the intent and use cases that he confused initially. It comes down to how well do you really know your product, what's the value you are trying to provide, what is the intent you are trying to build it with, what are the use cases, what are the values you are trying to provide, and what is that feedback cycle to know if you are on track. Do you think the product owner signs off on the demos and whatever is done, your product is valuable to the end user?
Not really. It cannot be.
Right? So you don't really have an answer to are you on track or not. You're just taking a best case estimate of sorts, or someone saying someone has taken the responsibility of their shoulder, it's off your shoulder, someone has signed off, you are free to go and do your other thing. Product owner signed off, you should have said this is not the right thing for the user. Right? And that is very, very important for each and every team member to really understand. If you are trying to bring value to the product, I don't care about the role, I don't care about the title. If you are trying to bring value to that product, do you know your product really well? And what role are you playing in help build a good quality product? Okay? Very important to think about. Now, who is a user? You mentioned about user. Is it okay if I continue on this case study? Is it okay? Everyone can relate to this case study, right? Yeah? Okay? Okay, and please do not think of disclosing anything proprietary, private, confidential in that sense, right? We use it as a pure case study, okay? And if at any point you feel comfortable, raise a hand and that's a flag for me to find another case study from there.
I think it's probably the best case study. It's very relevant also. Airlines, we do travel.
Exactly.
We do reserve tickets.
Exactly.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
And that gets exactly to the next point, right? You said we. Who is this we? Who is your user? How do you know who is your user?
So it's basically the customer who are availing the service, who do the ticketing.
So
they are self.
Okay.
They are the user.
Okay. Are you sure that's the only user? So you said the customer who is availing the service, who is buying the tickets, right? Did I misunderstand that?
No.
No? Is there any other user?
Yeah, there can be. So for that product, so maybe so we are working with the customer. So they do have their internal team as well, right? So they can consume the product as part of
their users. They are trying to simulate what the real users will be doing, right? So these are sort of the beta testers or whatever you can think about, proxy users. They are not the real users. Who is the real user? The real user is a person, as you correctly said, right? Person who is availing the service, who is purchasing tickets. But I am purchasing tickets not just for me, but also for my family who is traveling along with me. Right? They don't have any idea about the system. But what kind of service your product is going to provide is going to end up affecting all the users who are going to fly on that airline, right? Using the tickets that are purchased from your product. Right? You mentioned about baggage tracking and some other features as well, right? Who is that really helping? Who is the user for those features?
So who are filing the tickets, so if I do the booking, then I can file a report as well.
Okay.
So I can file a report for my family members as well.
Sure.
They can also.
Okay. So now you've expanded the answer from the question booking it to also the new understanding of your users can be someone else as well, right? Are you sure they are your only users? What do others say? Are the passengers only the real users for this type of product? For these type of services? Okay, who are other users?
Agents.
What do you mean agents? Who are booking tickets on behalf? Those agents you're talking about?
Support agents.
Sorry?
Support agents.
Support agents meaning?
Like the example was given like for the baggage tracking. Now the baggage being tracked, if a complaint has been raised, someone is supposed to be tending to that complaint.
Exactly, right? These are users you don't even really think of. You're building a system, automated system, so that you have to reduce your call centers probably to answer phones and get these reports in. You are enabling your support teams, on-field teams for the airlines, baggage tracking services or the ticket booking agents for the airline, whatever else is going on. And there could be, based on the services, your consumers of that might not be direct consumers, might be indirect consumers as well.
Exactly, it's sort of indirect.
Because
if I talk about the app only, so there is no involvement of the other who are supporting the system, but it's only about the customer. So we are actually using their mobile.
Exactly, but the data that the customer, the true consumer is feeding in is helping enable other people to get things done faster in a more optimized fashion. Right? These are indirect consumers. And if a feature, what would happen if, let's say, you are reporting a bag lost, right? Or misplaced, I didn't get my bag on time. Immediately open your app at the baggage carousel, find a report and done, right? And the app says this is your request number. Okay? What would happen if that API call did not really go through to make that request, but the app generated the request number and gave it to you directly? So it's very important to think about who your different type of consumers are and think from that fashion, right? Is the data that is sent is really going to be understood for them as well or not? What information can they infer out of that data that is sent, the request that is raised, to take meaningful decisions, right? So again, it becomes a very important aspect, knowing the consumers. This knowing consumers also, you can think about it as personas, right? Who are your personas for the product you're building? Okay, so agents, travel agents booking could be one person, the actual customer booking could be another persona. Okay, but there are still other factors when it comes out to these users, right? And it depends on the location where they are really doing this from. Does it matter if your app is used on a crappy 2G network or a crappy 3G network versus a very high speed 4G, 5G or Wi-Fi? Right? That location becomes important. Can I report a claim from a country for Indigo Airlines from South America where there is no Indigo Airlines? That also probably becomes a concern, right? Who is the user really using it and what type of information is coming out from that, right? The other aspect is the culture, and this is a very subtle aspect. And can anyone think of why culture is important? Culture, and for that matter, I'll give you another hint. What languages as well are very important in terms of knowing the user.
So the user can relate more, themselves to the app. So these are
exactly right.
If I don't know English and I have to do the filing a report, so I can do in the Chinese language. Maybe
exactly. How simple is it? So knowing who your user is, where the user is coming from, what culture, language, preferences they may have, it puts a lot of, it gives a lot of input in terms of how your product is really going to be designed and built and delivered, right? And it is very, very important to think about these aspects, not just about the product and the use cases. Who is your real consumer? Who is your indirect consumer? What type of information can they really relate to or not? It helps in designing and building your app better. Okay? Which also means that profiling is important in certain factors, right? So we could say there's this new term that I've been hearing in the recent past about the millennial generations, right? Which I think is between the age of 16 and 22 or something like that, right? So you need to understand how to profile, what type of profiles of users are coming in, so you can design it better accordingly. Are these senior citizens coming in? Are these people who are very tech savvy who are going to come in or not? And based on that, again, your solution needs to be implemented accordingly.
So you're talking about the persona, I guess.
It's getting into more details about the persona. It's not just saying I am a person who's going to fly, so passenger is a person booking in. What type of passenger is booking? Is the passenger going to be booking in mainly from urban areas or rural areas? Maybe it has an impact to the way your product is built. Maybe not, but you have to think about various different aspects whose your user is going to be and then design solutions based on it. Okay? In certain cases, what type of hobbies they like or not. Like my friend, designing a solution in a better way. So if you're targeting below 30 age group or below 25 age group, your design has to be probably much more vibrant and colorful because that's more relatable probably to that type of age group for the type of product you're building. But for another type of product, maybe you want a completely different approach again for it. Right? So these are very important aspects. And what type of habits are they really going to form? Do they have, and they're going to form on your app as well? Does that become a de facto action? I'm going to every few minutes going to open my phone and check my Facebook or my WhatsApp or whatever else. Or if anything related to travel, I'm going to open up this app. I don't even care about which other airline app might be there. because this I'm hooked onto it. I've created a habit of using this particular app to get the kind of service I want to get. Okay? Remember, the user's attention span is very, very small. And there are thousands of options for them. If one does not work, immediately switch, get to the other one. And at the same time, it doesn't stop there. There is a lot of social publishing also happens for that. For organizations, the social publishing is Glassdoor and LinkedIn and Facebook probably now. But all the social media is very crucial to the user experience. How it becomes a trend or not very quickly, how it goes viral or not very quickly. Right? So you have to really think about these aspects. How can you really understand your user, what kind of value are you going to provide to them, in turn to get value for yourself as a product, as an organization. Okay? So once you know what your product really is, who is your user, how do you measure this kind of data? Okay? So before we continue with the same case study, this was a mobile app heavy case study in that sense, right? Which other products I'm working on? A few shout outs. What type of products?
So we are working on a student online safety solution.
Student online safety solution. Is it a web only product?
Yeah.
Okay, that's one. Or anything else? Yeah?
Taxi booking app like Ola Uber.
Okay, taxi booking app. That's another very interesting use case.
Loan checking system.
Sorry?
Lending system.
Lending system. Okay. Now these are very interesting examples immediately, right? Because the products are drastically different. All the four examples: airline booking, student online safety, taxi booking, a lending system. Consumers are directly very different around this. The products are completely different. The platforms are completely different. How do each of you know your product is working well, or what parts of it are not working well? So let's move on to some other examples as well. Yeah. Otherwise, this talk will become just your airline booking talk. Okay. So maybe you want to share something about.
Unfortunately, there is a echo.
Okay. So we give it to someone as well. Let's take the taxi booking app. If you don't mind sharing. So how do you know your app? Is your app already live?
No, it's not launched yet.
Okay, not launched. So we'll move on to some other example. Because I want some real data for us to try and understand this aspect, right? Anyone who wants to share for that matter, right? Okay.
Yeah, so it's a loan lending system.
Okay, it's already live?
Yeah, it has been live for in UK basically.
In UK, is it web only?
Yeah, it is. It is web only, and also it has some call center thing.
Okay. So web interface for the users and admin
there
and
are
call
three,
centers.
yeah, three main components:
Okay.
APIs, web, and the call center. The
Okay.
backends.
Okay. So I'll ask specific questions. Okay. Again, please keep in mind any internal information. I'm not interested. I don't think anyone here is interested in knowing, or we don't want NDA conflicts or anything at all. Right? So please share whatever you feel comfortable sharing about it. How do you measure if your product is doing well in your market for the users, or what parts are not working well?
It's just the feedback we get, but it's like when it is onto the production live, if there is some problems, we get the tickets for it. So if it is major problems, then we say that yeah, it is not the good measure, a good quality. So based on that, I will measure the success for the product.
So you're saying the number of tickets raised by users around things not working well, that is one measure of quality for you. What else is a measure of quality?
It is the satisfaction. The client should be satisfied.
How do you know that?
Getting positive feedback.
On?
Getting more than appreciation than escalation.
How often does that happen?
Currently, our product is in a new, so it happens. There are a lot of issues which occurs, but yeah, we also get appreciations.
Okay. Is that enough for business to take decisions? Oh, this is a great product and we need to scale up to all other countries of the world?
I will not say all over because they're still just restricted to
Okay, we focus on Europe.
Yeah, it's on UK Europe.
Okay. So, is the appreciations and tickets an enough measure for business to take those decisions?
Yeah, with this, with the more appreciation, it is like they are having more products into the our platform. It was just first one type of loan, now there are two types of loan, now there are three types of loan which are on our platform.
Okay.
So as
for same country, same user base.
Yeah, for same users. So as we are getting appreciation, we are doing more R&D and putting in more lending products into our platform.
Okay. So R&D is in terms of which new products can be potentially launched, which was anyway the vision of the product probably, right? The intent of the company was probably not just to offer one type of a loan to product. There could be 10 different types, so we launch one at a time and we keep increasing.
Yes.
But I don't think that is anything related with the feedback cycle or appreciations or number of tickets necessarily, right? Could be one measure.
Yeah, it's basically confidence gaining that we have done this successfully, we can move it into the next.
So I'll tell you some other measures without knowing anything much about the product and what you just shared. What other metrics might business be looking at or stakeholders be looking at, right? Revenues. Just for appreciation does not help. If this product was in India, I don't know about other countries, we are a Jugadu nation, unfortunately. We can very easily get appreciations, ratings and things happening in a crowdsourced model without doing anything. Is that a measure of saying I want to change from 10 products to 100 products? That cannot be the only measure is what I'm saying, right? Revenues also just cannot be the only measures without knowing the customer satisfaction aspect out of it, right? So many a times maybe there are service set out to existing users. How do you find this service? And that is more than they just raising tickets or on their own giving appreciation, getting more consolidated feedback about what the product really was, what that experience was, to know what is happening. Okay? But tickets is one interesting aspect you said, right? If they report a problem, you know there is a problem. If they send appreciation email, you know there was something good that happened. Revenues automatically indicate what is the balance in a bank, automatically indicates is your product doing well on track or not, based on what your spends have been for IT, for marketing, whatever else is required around that. Right? And you can correlate, are we on track or not? Okay? But is that the only thing?
Omnichannel.
Sorry?
Omnichannel.
Omnichannel. Excellent. Analytics is the key to knowing without the user doing anything how well your product is being used or not. You want to know in your lending application, which might be a 3-stage workflow. First, you capture customer information, first you capture the requirement details, what type of loan product, amount, duration, whatever you might be wanting. Next, you put in your individual customer details, and then maybe some KYC type documents, you upload that, and then you say submit. It's a 3-stage workflow. How much analytics will tell us how much the users are really progressing from point A to point Z. And that tells you, is your product structured correctly, or is there a problem? Are we asking for too much information, or we have no validation, because at the end what happened is something loan was not approved. What can you do about that feedback cycle? So analytics as a data is a great measure in knowing what it is. Let's come back to you if you don't mind in terms of the mobile app thing, right? Because it becomes more complex from a mobile app perspective. You know why mobile apps, native apps are more complex than web apps, by the way? Or backend APIs? You work on mobile apps, you tell me why. You're going to be your best friend or favorite enemy afterwards, I'm guessing.
So considering mobile apps, so mobile have all the aspects, right?
So mobile consumes the backend. Okay.
No, my question is, what is the biggest difference when you have to get your product out in front of your user for a web app or a backend APIs versus a mobile app?
I think I'm not getting your question.
Okay. Never mind. Yeah.
Maybe showing relevant information in a very small space than what space you have.
So that is more from a feature or designing perspective, right? So there's a smaller screen size and showing the information in relevant context over there is important. But the biggest difference when it comes to quality side, now I'm not going to ask you, you know that. Okay, but the biggest difference, right, is really for web apps, APIs. Any problem, you do a deployment again with a fix, everyone gets it immediately. For mobile apps, it is up to the user if he or she wants to upgrade their app after doing a fix or not. Okay, and any small change in your feature and how the workflow really is going to be, It is so important to track much more better in mobile apps, native apps I'm talking about, right? Not mobile web. It is so important to track in mobile apps and get it right as quickly as possible, because an iterative cycle does not really work very well. Why? Because if the user has lost out on getting a loan using that mobile app, he'll say, I'm not going to come back here, it's related with money. If this app crashed when I was in the process of applying for a loan, I don't know what else is going to happen. I'll use some other service. Even though you fix it the next release, the user has already gone away potential. Versus for a web, it is still much more easy. Oh, something happened, let me refresh the page and see what happens. And maybe it's already fixed by that. Very big difference. Okay? So analytics becomes very, very important to track the right level of details and measure it to help take next decisions. Okay? When it comes to apps, again, crashes becomes a very important source of information. Apps crash. For various reasons, it could be devices out of memory or trying to do something, the app crashed. Okay? Anything could happen. Likewise, the defects that he spoke about earlier, right? User reporting issues. That becomes also, it's almost like a crash report in a certain way, right? This is what the problem was when it happened. And these are very important keys to knowing what a product is doing in terms of how the users are using it and getting that feedback. So these are the ways that you will measure analytics, crashes or reports from them, and also everything is social these days. Especially more tech savvy people will be more on social media and they'll blast more on social networks. Knowing what is happening from the reviews, ratings, comments, App Store, Play Store, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, wherever, you need to know where your users are and accordingly reach out over there and figure out what type of activity is going on about your product over there. Measure from that as well. The user may not send you a defect ticket, this is what happened, but they will blast, oh, this was a crappy app because I could not apply for a loan from you. They might do that more than send an email or something to the company around. Okay? So that is very important. The other aspect which is very crucial, which is not thought of as much, is more in terms of the errors and logs that your app will send if certain things happen. These are different from events, mind you, right? Events are for tracking user behavior. But what if there are certain activities that happen in the course of it? Can your app send or can your browser send information about that journey to your backend system so that you can trace it back if there is an issue? And based on all these data, then you start that learning aspect. The learning aspect comes in form of inferring, right? A lot of context. I got 1,000 crashes coming in from my app on one day alone. Why did that happen? 1,000 crashes by itself might be critical. Stop everything else. Stop roll out of the product. Do something. Or it's 1,000 out of 1 million installs a day. Who cares about 1,000? We need to fix it, but it's not a blocking thing that I need to stop everything else. Context is very important when you look at this data. Right? So infer with context what that data is telling you. Look at the trends and patterns from your data to make decisions about what next needs to happen. And that's how that learning really starts through, right? And based on that, you will pivot or continue in your incremental fashion. Okay? So these are very important aspects. I'll show you some context of the product I'm working with right now. It is an entertainment product. It's like the Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hotstar. It's an entertainment OTT product where you can stream videos, download and watch videos, movies, whatever that might be the case, right? But it's a very, very interesting business model. I'm not going to talk about the product, but the business model is very interesting. How do you learn and measure? Or measure and learn that? Because our user base is millions, it's a B2C product. Likewise would be the case for the airline product. But for the lending app product, it will be almost like a B2B type of thing, right? Or the consumers will not necessarily be in millions. 1,000 consumers also might be a great thing for that type of product, right? But based on the product, how well is the product going or not? It is very important to understand that. Based on that understanding, a lot of things happen. One is, what next do we need to do in terms of features or implementations? Is there a problem in the product? In which context did that problem come across? right? So when streaming videos, what if suddenly data connection goes out and the app crashes for whatever reason? If it's a crash, I'll have a crash report, but I get hundreds of crashes per day because my user base is million. I'm not looking at each crash the minute it arrives. How do I know which crash to correlate with what type of inference from other data to put that in priority? It's not just one crash that is happening. If the context was shared across with 10 times the users, this number would expand or grow exponentially. You need to put inference to that data in various different contexts, not in isolation, but in various different contexts. So understanding the data, putting it in context about how the feature is working or not. Is there a problem? Even if the user has not reported anything, what does that really mean? And this business is very interesting, the media business as well, right? We are a freemium product where ads are also served. If you are a free user, you will get the content but with ads in between. If you are a premium user, you will not get the ads, right? Because the company needs some revenue model. The key is the revenue model. What is that revenue model and how are we going to measure it? If I am in India and I do a payment using Google Pay, or if I am on Vodafone network via Vodafone, I need to be able to not just ensure that the billing is going through correctly, the money actually comes into my bank account, but also I am able to track it with analytics to see how many users purchase subscription on which day by which means. And if this was a free user, let's say out of this room of 100, 120 people right now, if all of you are free users, that means all of you get ads. There is a contract with the ad agency for where the ads are served. How many ad impressions means what type of revenue model. If I'm not able to capture the data correctly, my revenue goes for a toss. It's not just about if my product working correctly. My product is working beautifully. But if I don't capture it, the business model is tied to revenues based on the data itself, which again becomes a problem. Right? So it is very, very important to understand what your product is, who your users are. It's very important to understand based on the context, what are you going to measure, what value are you going to get from those metrics. Metrics used out of context are useless. If you use a number of defects that are coming in to understand quality of the product, I don't think that's the right strategy at all. Because there is so much more that is out there which you are not able to put inference on. Okay, we need to understand that, regardless of the role. We need to understand that. How is that measurement? What do we need to measure? Why is that required? And what information will that give me in form of learnings to help complete that feedback loop to take it to the next level? Okay? Whatever you measure, make sure you have a fallback option also. If analytics is your only source of knowing your business is going well or not, what revenue is going to come in or not, how engaged your users are or not, then probably that is not a good strategy, because if any problem in the app with respect to events not going correctly, means that data is not captured correctly, your company business model has collapsed. Right? What is your plan B as well? And that allows you to get into the experimentation stage of your product evolution cycle. That allows you to build, measure, learn much more quickly, because it's not just one basket you are putting all your eggs in. You have spread out that aspect, you have spread out the risk as well. And at the same time, you are able to move effectively, you are able to know what the consumers are really doing, you know what their engagement with your product is, what habits they are forming with your product, you know your business is also continuing to grow, because revenues are also going to match up. But if something wrong happens, you also have something fallback to tell business, yes, this mess up happened, but here's the data from another source which is going to give you that information. Right? So I hope this gave you some more thoughts on what that feedback cycle really means, right? It is not just knowing from the product whether everything is fine. How do you know from your real users what is really going on? What habits have they developed? That is very important as well. Okay? So with that, I'm done with my slides. I think we have a few minutes probably for questions. But I hope this information give you a different aspect of quality of a product. How to really understand it. This was nothing about how do you test. Too many things around that already. We'll be doing many more specific things later today as well. But this is a dimension which is not explored enough. which is very important for the success of the individual, of the team, of the company, of the products that you're getting out to your market. Okay? So thank you very much. Any questions, I'm happy to take that right now, or also you can reach out to me separately as well. Thank you.
Any questions?
Okay, great. Thank you so much, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anand. It was a really great talk.